I'll move on in that case. Tom Eden from PA.
Good afternoon. Last month you said, and I'm quoting directly, by 26th July we expect to have given second doses to all 40 to 49-year-olds. But last night you described accusations that this target was missed as downright inaccurate, even though by then just over 90% had had a first dose and 76.6% had a second dose, a 14.1% gap between the two. In the next sentence you read out in Parliament, you said by August the 20th, all 30 to 39-year-olds will have had a second dose. As things stand, just over 80% have had a first dose and 37% their second. So is that going to happen, or is there another target?
Okay, I'm really glad this has been raised. I'm only slightly disappointed that it's you that's raised it, Tom, because you're about to probably get the sort of the full blast of my answer here when you don't really deserve it. When I communicate, and I apologise if this is an error, okay, I kind of communicate at a level where I assume a certain level of intelligence on the part of people listening to me, because I think that's justified, and I assume a certain ability to attach context and common sense to what I am saying. Now, I'll go from there to taking what over the last couple of days has appeared to be an interpretation by opposition politicians and by some journalists that when I said what you've just read out there, what I actually meant was that I was giving a guarantee that by a certain date 100% of people would not just have been offered the vaccine, but would have had the vaccine. Now, all I would say is if that is genuinely what people, journalists, opposition politicians, thought I meant, and that I had committed to that without compulsory vaccination, I'm genuinely really surprised that there wasn't a clamour of questions, in fact I don't think there was a single one, asking me how on earth I was going to deliver that commitment. How could I, without saying vaccination would be compulsory for every person with no exception, even if they'd had the virus within 4 weeks, which right now means you can't get vaccinated, unless I was saying that, how could I possibly have guaranteed 100% uptake of a voluntary vaccination programme? And that's what I mean by saying, and maybe I need to not make the mistake of assuming a level of ability to put context and common sense around how I communicate things. Everybody with any thought attached to it would have known, not least because it's what all governments across the UK are doing, is that what I was committing to, which is what we have delivered, is making sure 100% had been offered an appointment for a vaccine. Short of compulsion, how could I have said that I was guaranteeing it would be 100% uptake? So let's just apply. So what we have done is make sure that we've delivered on the commitment to appointments, and we continue to work to get uptake levels as high as possible. They are already extraordinarily high, but particularly in the younger age groups, we want them to get higher. The last thing I would say is I hope, I can sometimes stand at this podium and sound irritated, and I'm sure I've just done that, and if that's the case, I apologise. This is not just any old political issue. This is a global pandemic. It really matters, and all of us, scrutiny on the government matters, and even if I sound irritated sometimes about that, I know how important that is, and I don't shy away from that. But surely we should all try to have grown-up, sophisticated, nuanced discussions. And the most important thing right now is not getting into some kind of dancing on the head of a pin debate about what I meant when I used a particular word, but how do we go from the sensible position we had, which we've met in terms of the target, to all of us trying to persuade those who haven't been vaccinated to get vaccinated? That's what I'm focused on and will continue to be focused on. So again, Tom, apologies to you because that rant probably wasn't something you entirely deserved, but there you go.